Now, Tachi Palace Casino. To know the whole story, we have to give the backstory. So to begin with, Tachi Palace Casino is a casino, and Tachi Palace is located in Lemoore, California, established in 1983. And the most important detail to note, and we'll get into this more later, is that Tachi Palace Casino is an Indian style casino. These guys don't give a fuck. They don't play by the same rules, complete savages. And we're about to learn some, not all, but some of their fuckery. But this, I gotta admit, is some good fuckery. So shout out to them. Now, like I said, Tachi Palace is an Indian style casino. And I didn't just make up that word. An Indian style casino, by definition, is any casino that operates on Indian reservations or other tribal lands in the United States. What that means in normal terms, even though they're technically in the United States, they don't have to follow the same set of rules. They play by a different set of rules. And this is a fuzzy area in general, but with Tachi Palace, the UFC, and this specific incident, we know the facts. So now we know what Tachi Palace is and a little backstory. Let's fast forward to everyone's favorite year, 2020. Now, we all know the pandemic affected not just the UFC, but all sporting leagues across the globe. Let's paint the picture real quick. It's 2020, the coronavirus hits, everyone's fucked, everybody's dying, there's bodies dropping, hospitals got no more hospital beds, filled to the max with bodies. It's not even safe to leave your house anymore. You better mask up or back the fuck up. Now, disclaimer, let's make this clear. I don't get political on this channel. I don't choose sides. I just state the facts in the case. Luke Rockhold even knows I'm just an average bloke. Tachi Palace Casino was super cool to the UFC, had their back when no one else would, and when everybody was saying no, they said yes. They went against Disney, the public image, and the United States of America. And what did the UFC do in return? To help someone who helped them in their time of need. The kind of friend everybody should have. They didn't do a fucking thing. With friends like Dana White and the fucking UFC, who needs enemies? Now in 2020, when the shutdown first happened, the virus started around January of 2020. The shutdown in the US happened around March 15th, 2020. And the last UFC event was UFC Fight Night 170 on March 14th, 2020. And now that I think about it, they couldn't even wait a month or two without a pay-per-view. That's insane. But I digress. At this moment in time, every single sporting league around the world has stopped. There's no light at the end of the tunnel on when any of them would return, if they would even return at all. Everybody was boarded up, quarantined in our houses. It affected the economy, sporting leagues as a whole, the very lucrative gambling industry, and worst of all, forced people to be stuck in their house with their family. While CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, advised against any sporting event going on, and the California State Athletic Commission said fuck no. They would not be participating either. This is a direct quote from them. I'll read it for all my blind folk out there. Shout out to you. It says the commission will not participate in the UFC event April 18th. Everyone was out. Now, for Tachi Palace to work, I believe they did need the tribal council to approve it still, but if they didn't already approve it, I can guarantee they would have. Most important to note is that the UFC wanted to be the first sporting event back, and nothing, I repeat, nothing was going to stop Dana White. So this leads us to the UFC shopping around for a location for UFC 249, Usman versus Masvidal. The original location was going to be Brooklyn, New York, but it got canceled due to COVID-19 restrictions in New York around gatherings. No one had the balls to hold the event. And guess what? With the whole world telling them no, and Dana White going on a press run telling everyone that'll listen till our ears literally fell off that he doesn't give a single fuck, the event will go on. The UFC will put on fights even if the world is burning down. They booked UFC 249 on April 18th, 2020. Unfortunately, not 420, at Tachi Palace Casino. And Tachi Palace Casino is located in Kings County, California. During this time, Kings County, California, the county, though, Kings County, had a shelter-in-place order for residents of the county. And Tachi Palace is in the county, but Tachi Palace said, fuck you. They're on a different type of time. You see, these shelter-in-place rules do not apply to sovereign tribal land. They gave the UFC a legal loophole that would allow fights to happen completely legal. He was gonna rent the entire hotel, not just the rooms, the whole damn thing. Completely legal loophole. The first sporting event back, locked in. And right then, just for a brief moment in time, Dana thought just for a second that he was the man. He thought he won. Thanos snapped his fingers. But we all know even Thanos is controlled by Walt Disney. And with a Mickey Mouse smile on their face, on Thursday, April 9th, 2020, I believe it was, Mickey Mouse pulled the plug on the Tachi Palace clubhouse and put a halt to Dana's arrogant early celebration tour while taking a massive shit on the UFC in the process. Dana folded. He folded like a deck of cards. But with this, there was a promise. A gentleman's agreement. One hand washes the other. Dana White promised, and I quote, let me quote him on this. Dana White told ESPN in an interview, when the world gets back to normal, the California event will be at Tachi Palace. Like I said, there was a promise. An empty fucking promise. No media asked about this. They were used and abused like the Tachi Palace casino goers every night. Dana White hasn't mentioned this or why it hasn't happened. It makes no sense because MMA events are definitely being held there. Most recently, Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 23 on July 26, 2024. What's worse is that this event was even on Fight Pass, and I believe it was live on Fight Pass. So some could say this is casinos getting a taste of their own medicine. Others might say the UFC are some fuckboys. I just said them both. And after the fact, they tried to blame the governor or some shit. but we all know what Mickey Mouse wants, Mickey Mouse gets, and that's a fact. Dana White, what happened to promises made? Promises kept. I thought you were about that life. Let me get an interview with Dana. Let's start a petition. And by the way, while doing research for this video, I found a pretty big Tachi Palace fight. Like 20 mall cops versus 30 dudes. Definitely worth the watch if you don't mind potato recordings. It's age restricted though, so I can't show it here. With all that said, I ask, what the fuck happened to Tachi Palace?